بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا الذي له ملك السماوات والأرض ولم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك وخلق كل شيء فقدره تقديرا واتخذوا من دونه آلهة لا يخلقون شيئا وهم يخلقون ولا يملكون لأنفسهم ضرا ولا نفعا ولا يملكون موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا وقال الذين كفروا إن هذا إلا إفك افتريه وأعانه عليه قوم آخرون فقد جاءوا ظلما وزورا وقالوا أساطير الأولين اكتتبها فهي تملي عليه بكرة وأصيلا قل أنزله الذي يعلم السر في السماوات والأرض إنه كان غفورا رحيما وقالوا ما لهذا الرسول يأكل الطعام ويمشي في الأسواق لولا أنزل إليه ملك فيكون معه نذيرا أو يلقى إليه كنز أو تكون له جنة يأكل منها
kabar su wawaye ne kawai.
وقال الظالمون إن تتبعون إلا رجلا مسحورا
Ƙarya suke yi.
انظر كيف ضربوا لك الأمثال فضلوا فلا يستطيعون سبيلا تبارك الذي إن شاء جعل لك خيرا من ذلك جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار
Da me kuma?
ويجعل لك قصورا
Wallahi gaske.
بل كذبوا بالساعة
Ba su kyauta ba.
وأعتدنا لمن كذب بالساعة سيرا إذا رأتهم من مكان بعيد سمعوا لها تغيظا وزفيرا
Allah ya kiyaye mu.
وإذا ألقوا منها مكانا ضيقا مقرنين دعوا هنالك ثبورا
Allah ya tsare mu.
لا تدعوا اليوم ثبورا واحدا ودعوا ثبورا كثيرا
Allah ya tsare mu.
قل ذلك خير نعم جنة الخلد التي وعد المتقون كانت لهم جزاء ومصيرا لهم فيها ما يشاءون
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. We thank the Almighty Allah for blessing us with another day. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided, and whosoever goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Today is a Friday, which corresponds with the 20th day of Shawwal, 1441 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It also corresponds with the 12th day of June 2020. Alhamdulillah, we are discussing the Muslim marriage and divorce bill, and yesterday we talked about some points, especially concerning the licensing of the places of marriage and also the licensing of imams. And it is a wake-up call for us to take care of our imams in terms of their education, in terms of their prepping up, in terms of their orientation. So it's very, very important we look at that. It's very, very important. It's also important we look at the kind of education we are giving as Muslims, because it's very painful to find Muslims who are astute in other fields, but when it comes to the field of Islam, they find themselves wanting. It's very painful. So I believe, as I said yesterday, that the Muslim marriage and divorce bill is an opportunity for us Muslims in Ghana that I believe we must really, really, really make use of, in terms of structuring and restructuring a lot of things for us as Muslims in Ghana. Even though there are one or two people or some people who feel otherwise, that we already have other issues to take care of, why then do we have to worry ourselves and then bother ourselves with Muslim marriage bill and stuff like that? But I think that the fact that we already have other challenges doesn't prevent us or stop us from pursuing this bill and then getting it done, because it's very, very, very nice that we make use of this bill. It's very, very important. Yesterday we talked about the 18-year-old threshold of marriage, and I read to us some statistics that shows that pegging the age of marriage at 18 years is something that is not sustainable. Yes, teenage pregnancy is on the high, and girls are dropping out of school because of that. And most often than not, the boys responsible for these pregnancies themselves cannot take care of themselves. How much more taking care of the girls? And then also you realize that the older men who are responsible, who can take care of themselves and even take care of these girls, deny responsibility. So it's something that it's very, very painful, and as Muslims we need to have a serious look at it. So as I said, that 18-year-old threshold is not sustainable. It's not working. So I think the necessary authorities must have a look at it. It's very, very important that we have a second look at it and see what suits us. Because as I said, in some states here in the United States, the state of Missouri, for example, they say 16-year-olds can get married so long as it's with the consent of a parent. So we can also have a look at that and see in our country what's the best way for us. How can we find suitable solutions to the problems that we are facing? Does Islam allow child marriages? It's a question I think most of us will want to know the answer to the fact that Islam, allows child marriages. It's a difference of opinion between scholars of Islam concerning who a child is and whether a child, is allowed to get married in Islam. Even today, we have difference of opinion concerning who a child is. Some years back, the adult age was 21. Later, it was reduced to 18. Now we are saying that a 16-year-old can have sex, but she cannot get married or he cannot get married. What then is sustainable? We all know that biologically, when a lady starts to menstruate, then she has become an adult, biologically. Maybe socially, depend on the social dispensation that we find ourselves in, or the economic or the political situations we find ourselves in might not be favorable for us to, tackle some of these things. But then the issue and then the reality is that anybody who has started menstruating is a potential mother. So we need to have a look at it. Ibn Shubruma, the Tabi'i, and Abu Bakr al-Asam, and Uthman al-Bitti, they said Islam doesn't allow anybody who is young to get married. When we say young here, someone who is not of age, a lady who has started menstruating, or a boy who has not seen any nocturnal emissions, they are saying Islam doesn't allow them to get married. And then they give us a reason that the Almighty Allah says in the Quran, وَابْتَلُوا الْيَتَامَى حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا النِّكَاحِ. That is, test the orphans, examine them and see حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا النِّكَاحِ, when they get to the age of marriage. So if an orphan is someone who is young and they've lost their parents and they cannot take care of themselves and a guardian is taking care of them. So if the Quran is saying that take care of them, observe them until they get to marriage, then it means anybody who is a child cannot get married in Islam. That's their point. But Ibn Hazm also said no, that the younger ones can also get married, but then with conditions. The scholars who are saying younger ones who have not yet menstruated can get married, they didn't open it up just like that. They gave conditions to it. And the major condition is that it should be with the consent of the father of that young one. So it's a difference of opinion between scholars, and it's a long debate. It's a huge, literature on its own that I don't think it is the time now for us to discuss it, because it will take time. You need to break down the reasons and then explain. But I'm just making a point that within Islam, there's a difference of opinion concerning the marriage of younger ones and stuff like that. And then the major thing people talk about is the marriage of Aisha, whether she was 6 years old or she was 9 years old or whether she was 18 years old. So these are some of the things that people, use and say Islam allows the marriage of younger ones. The marriage of Aisha, even though she was young, she had started menstruating at the age of 9 years. And then don't forget that before the Prophet Muhammad even married Aisha at that age, she had already been betrothed to someone else. And when the person pulled out of the marriage, of the agreement, that is when the Prophet Muhammad married Aisha. So it's also not an issue for us here to discuss what's the age of Aisha before she got married, whether it was 9 or whether it was 18, whether she was 25 or something like that. That's not the point. So generally speaking, it is upon the community, Islam allows that. It is upon the Muslim community, the Muslim jurists, to sit down and look at the issues that they are facing and see what is the best option for us as Muslims living in Ghana. What's the best option for us as Muslims living in Nigeria? What's the best option for us as Muslims living in the United States? Let's look at our situations and our conditions and see what's the best thing we can do, because there is no stipulated age of marriage in Islam. Yesterday someone asked the question, that is there a stipulated age for marriage in Islam? And we said there is no stipulated age of marriage in Islam. Islam has not made a concrete age that you must get married by the age of 18 or get married by the age of 20. No, because biologically it has been proven that some people grow older or faster than other people. So when you peg the age of marriage at a particular age, you will be defeating the purpose of marriage. Some people by the age of 12 are ripe and ready for marriage. Some people the age of 14, some 16, and stuff like that. So if you say someone must get married by the age of 20 or 25 or 21, you are causing problems. So the communities, the societies must see what's best for them. So these are some of the, the flexibilities of the Islamic legal framework, whereby it gives us the opportunities to look at our situations and our conditions and then find solutions that fit us or that match with our day-to-day activities or our issues or our problems. So that's with that. To go back to the document, I think on page 11, it says the Muslim marriage contract. Each Muslim marriage celebrated after the commencement of this act shall have a written Muslim marriage contract. A Muslim marriage contract shall provide the details of and the principles to govern the marriage relationship, including but not limited to. So it's talking about the Muslim marriage contract. Is there anything like the Muslim marriage contract? Do we have a marriage contract in Islam? Are there conditions necessary for that? They stated some of these things, and I just want to read to them and then see. The names of the parties to the marriage, that's the contract. A paper where you write an agreement and then you sign or you can print or whatever to prove that, yes, this is a contract. As we have contracts in our business dealings, do we have something like that in Islam? The status of the parties, whether the bridegroom is a bachelor, married or a widower, and whether the bride is a spinster or she's a widow. The place of residence of the parties and then their guardians, the amount of dowry and whether it is fully paid or not, the rights and duties of the bridegroom, the rights and duties of the bride, the conditions, if any, for the exercise of the rights of the bridegroom and the bride, the duties of the bridegroom and the bride towards any children of the marriage, whether the bride will be entitled to any compensation after the dissolution of the marriage, and then finally, whether or not Islamic law should apply to the devolution of the estate of the prospective spouses in the event of intestacy. Yes, Islam allows for conditions in marriage. Islam allows for a woman when she's getting married to tell the man, I think so, A, B, C, D. Islam allows for that. Islam allows for us to sit down before the marriage and then discuss issues of the marriage. Okay, if you marry me, when we get married, I want 1, 2, 3. Islam allows for that. And some of these things that, the bill is saying are already things that Islam enjoins upon the husband and the wife in the marriage. For example, the duties of the bridegroom and the bride towards any children of the marriage. It is their responsibility to take care of the children in the marriage. So there is no need for us to write this in the contract that will you take care of your children or you have any special duties towards the children. Islam doesn't see that because it is already an embedded, responsibility upon the parents to take care of their children in a marriage. And then the duties, the rights and the duties of the bridegroom, the rights and the duties of the bride. If we want to stipulate the rights and the duties of the bridegroom in a marriage, then we will not have to have only a contract. It's going to be a book. So the general rights and duties of a husband in a marriage, we all know. Even though with all due respect and with pain, that some of us men are not doing our duties. And some of the women too are not doing their duties. in the marriages. So that is why we have a lot of bones and contentions and issues in our marriages now, because some spouses are not doing the need that must be done. But then the main issue I have with this session 10, if you are watching us, session 10, the Muslim marriage contract, and I think subsection 2J, it says whether or not Islamic law should apply to the devolution of the estate of the prospective spouses in the event of intestacy. It's saying here that they want to see in the law, in the contract that you are going to sign, in the marriage that you are going to have, before that marriage is registered, they want to see in the whether when you die as a Muslim, without writing any will to specify what is going to happen to your properties. Intestate, dying intestate in the law means that you die without putting down a will that when I die, A, B, C, D, E should happen, especially concerning whatever properties you are going to leave behind. That is dying intestate. And even within Islam, the Prophet Muhammad tells us that nobody should sleep without writing their will. And then will in Islam is not only about, sharing your properties. It goes beyond that. Who is going to wash you? Who is going to bury you? Who is going to do this? Yes, Islam has a comprehensive, lesson on will and will writing. So the law here is saying, the bill is saying that if in the event of you dying, will you allow Islamic law to be used in distributing your wealth? I think this is hypocritical, seriously. Because you cannot have imams, officiate your marriage in Muslim centers, and then you come back and then say when you die you will not allow Islamic law to distribute your estate, even though they are just trying to see how best they can put it within the framework of the constitution for it to suit that. But then this clause in there, I believe, is hypocritical. Okay, I agree to get married on Islamic terms because I'm a Muslim, but then when I die, my estate should not be distributed on Islamic way. It should be distributed by PNDC law 111. It's hypocritical. أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. Do you believe in part of the book and then you disbelieve in other parts of the book? So I think that this part must be looked at carefully. Because you can't say that you are a Muslim, but then you won't allow Islamic legal system to distribute your wealth. For what reason? The Islamic way of distribution of wealth is the most equitable way of distribution of wealth in any system in the world. I can put my head on the chopping stone for that. And it has been there for more than 1,000 years, applicable, relevant up till now. So, section 10, I don't know how you call it here, 2J is very, very problematic. They need to have a second look at it, because it defeats this whole purpose of Muslim marriage and divorce bill. Because if the person is given the option within the law to choose whether to use Islamic law in case of intestacy or not, then it becomes problematic. It means that the law of 1907 is better than this one in this regard. Because the law of 1907, Cap 129, the Muhammadan Marriage Ordinance, makes it clear that if a Muslim dies intestate, it is Islamic law which is going to distribute his estate. Are we now becoming secular Muslims? Are we now trying to pick and choose, cherry pick whatever we want in the Islamic law? The ones we think is okay with us, we use it. The ones we think is not okay with us, we put it aside? No. If we really want to have a Muslim marriage and divorce bill, then the need for us to have a second look at this portion is very, very important. It's very, very important that when a Muslim dies intestate, what is going to happen? I think it's a bit hypocritical. We need to have a second look at it. Seriously. We need to have a second look at it. It's very, very important. We need to have a second look at it. Seriously. But then, the other issue is, can we insert a condition within the contract, the marriage contract? We all know that the conditions for marriage in Islam is you get two people who are going to get married, male and female, not male, not female, male and female, and that we must be able to prove that they are made. It's a male and then she is a female. It's very important. And then there is the issue concerning the people who are going to witnesses. Because marriage in Islam is an institution, it's a communal institution. It is not just only a union of two people, it goes beyond that. It's a union of more than two people. So can I just meet a girl and then we get married in our own lungu and then we leave? No, it is not marriage. Yes, I love her, she loves me, I might be a sheikh and then I'll officiate the marriage between me and her secretly. Islam doesn't recognize that. So there must be that witness from her side and my side, and then there must be the guardians, my wakil and then her wali. But then apart from these things, can we insert something, a clause in the marriage? For example, can a woman say, if you marry me, get me my own apartment, I don't want to live with anybody? Can she say that in the clause? Or can she say that when you marry me, you're not going to marry anybody else? I want to live alone. Tawheed. She alone. She doesn't want to have anybody with her. Can she say that? Can she say that when you marry me, I don't want to travel, I want to stay where I am? Can she say that? So these are some issues concerning the marriage. Can it happen? Yes, it's possible. It can happen that within a marriage, a person, whether the male or the female, whether the husband or the wife, gives a condition that when you marry me or when we get married, I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, Islam allows that. That form of condition in Islam allows for it. Excuse me. But then, the problem is that that condition shouldn't be the obstacle to the acceptance of the marriage. Because within the conditions of marriage, we have al-ijab wal-qabul. That the person accepts, the woman accepts to marry you. But then if the acceptance of the marriage is tied with a condition that I will only marry you, for example, I've come to you to seek the hand of your daughter in marriage, and you are telling me that you only give me your daughter in marriage if I give my daughter to you in marriage, then this condition is null and void. The condition can only come after the acceptance of the marriage. Yes, I've accepted, I'll marry you, without any games. Then after that, you come and say, when we get married, I want A, B, C, D. Then those conditions are applicable. So the conditions shouldn't come or shouldn't be, tied with another condition, or it shouldn't be tied with whether you accept or not. No, you accept, then we go into the conditions. That's where that's a form of clarity. The Hanafiya, we have 4 major schools of thought when you come to Sunni Islam. 4 major. There are other ones who, even though they might not have survived because of some reasons, which is not the class for today. The Hanafiya are saying that we have sound conditions and then we have wrong conditions. Conditions that are sound and acceptable within the Islamic legal framework are accepted in the marriage. So if the conditions that the woman will stipulate in the marriage are already accepted within the Islamic framework, then there's no problem. It's okay. If whatever conditions the woman will stipulate in a marriage is accepted within the original or the general framework of the Islamic legal framework, then there's no problem. For example, if the woman says that if you marry me, I want to stay in an apartment alone. I don't want to live with your parents. I don't want to live with whatever co-wives I'm having. I want to stay in my own apartment. It is okay. The Hanafiya are saying it is okay. There is no problem with that. Or the woman says that when we get married, I don't want you to let me travel long distances. For example, the man might be, a traveler. Because of his businesses, he travels a lot. And the one will say, when we get married, I don't want you to take me along your business travels. I want to stay home. It's okay. Within the Islamic legal framework, there's nothing wrong with that. So the woman can stipulate a condition, so long as the condition, one, is part and parcel of the marriage. That is one. Two, it doesn't go contrary to original, established Islamic law. No problem. They're saying if the condition goes against the spirit of the marriage, and then it also goes contrary to established framework of Islam, then that condition is not going to be accepted. For example, if a woman says, okay, fine, when we marry, you divorce your elder wife. Wrong. It's a condition that's not going to be accepted. Because that condition goes contrary, one, to the spirit of marriage, because she's calling for divorce. That is one. Two, that condition goes against the spirit of Islam, because Islam promotes marriage. It doesn't encourage divorce, even though divorce is allowed in Islam, and then we'll come to that later. So it's very, very important that we understand some of these clauses, because I think that those who drafted the bill were trying to come from this point, whether in Islam, in the marriage, you can, insert a clause in the marriage contract. So that's why they are saying, they want to see in the contract whether you want to have Islamic law as your personal law. What it means that if you die, will your estate be distributed according to Islam? This is what the Hanafiya are saying. The Malikiya are saying something also similar, but then with different wordings. The Maliki school of thought says that sound conditions, a condition that is accepted within any marriage contract, are in twofold. There are ones that are liked and there are ones that are disliked. So there are conditions that are accepted. Yes, the contracts we can insert in their clauses. But then these clauses are of two. One is accepted, the other is not accepted. The ones that are accepted are ones that are liked, and the others that are disliked. So you might find a condition that is disliked, but then it is acceptable. A condition that is disliked, makruh huwa, is disliked, but then it's acceptable. For example, conditions that are liked. For example, if a man says, I don't want to see any form of defect, or if a woman says, when we are getting married, if I don't want to see any defect with you, the husband, I don't want you to see any sore on your body. Yes, the man, I don't want to see this on your body. It's not disliked, it's accepted. Or the man says, me, I want a virgin. So if we get married and I see that you are not a virgin, it's a problem for me. Or a man says, me, I want to marry a widow, woman whose husband has died. Or I want to marry a divorcee, someone who has been divorced before. So these are conditions that are acceptable. And they are liked. But then there are some conditions that are not liked. Even though they are acceptable, they are not liked. For example, if a woman says, if you marry me, don't marry anybody else again. It is acceptable that, yes, it can be, yes, drafted within the contract. But then it is not liked because it brings some form of your difficulty for the man. But it's acceptable. The man can accept that, fine, I have agreed. If I marry you, you're already one. One. The man can accept that. Even though in the Maliki school of thought, they are saying, it's disliked. But it's acceptable. We can't stop it. We can't prevent it from happening. But just that it is disliked. But it's acceptable. Why? Because the man might go through some difficulty in terms of that. Or a woman says, if you marry me, wherever you are going, we go together. It's acceptable. But then it will bring a form of difficulty for the man. The other conditions that are not acceptable at all within the Maliki school of thought is also like the ones in the Hanafi school of thought. That if the conditions go contrary to the spirit of marriage, we don't accept the condition. If the condition goes contrary to the spirit of Islam, we don't accept that condition. So the condition in the 10(2)J of the bill is not acceptable in Islam. So that part should be taken out. Because if it gives the parties the choice to disregard portions of the Sharia, then it's not acceptable. That is why we are calling for a review of the bill before it is passed. I agree with the bill. It is a step in the right direction. Yes, we have other challenges, hijab and stuff like that. But then this bill is also another part of the things that we are trying to fight for. So let's have a look at it very, very well. The office of the National Chief Imam, the office of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the office of the Tijaniya movement, the office, all the big offices that we have should have a look at the bill, a review. I think calling for a national stakeholder meeting of Muslims on this bill from the district level right to the national level is very, very important, because this bill is for the future. And if Muslims want to be a part and parcel of whatever decision making that is going to go on in the country, then we need to have a look at this bill and have it well tailored to meet the standards of Islam. Because it is clear that the bill calls itself the Muslim Marriage and Divorce Bill. It's very important. So this is what the Malikis are saying. For example, if a woman says, if you marry me and then you already have a first wife, divorce her. No, you're not going to accept such a condition. Or the woman says, fine, if you're not going to divorce her, if you marry me in a week, you stay with me 6 days and then you stay with her 1 day. No, because it is injustice. It breaks the spirit of Islam and it breaks the spirit of marriage. For example, if a woman says, fine, if you marry me, I want a condition that I can get out of the marriage anytime I want. No, you won't accept such a reason. Or, if you marry me, we are just getting married for 6 months. After the 6 months, I can go my way. No, you're not going to accept such a condition. Or fine, if you marry me, then you're going to take care of my brothers and my sisters. You're going to feed them, clothe them. No, you're not going to accept such a reason. Such a condition, no. It's not accepted within the Islamic legal framework. The condition that is going to be accepted within the Islamic framework in any marriage if the woman wants to insert any clause or the man wants to insert any clause, should be that it should be within the spirit of the marriage. That is one. Two, it should be within the spirit of the general legal framework of Islam. If it goes contrary to that, no, it's not acceptable. Okay, what happens if a woman stipulates a condition in the marriage, or a man stipulates a condition in the marriage, and then this condition goes against, the spirit of marriage, and then it goes against the spirit of Islam generally? For example, if a man says, we are going to get married, but after we marry, you are going to take care of yourself. It's not acceptable, because within the marriage in Islam, it is a man who takes care of the woman. Okay, what if the woman says, fine, if you marry me, I'll take care of myself? That condition is acceptable. That condition is acceptable in Islam. If she opts to say, I will take care of myself, fine. But the man cannot say the woman should take care of herself in the marriage. The man cannot say that. But then the woman can say she can take care of herself. Okay, what if in the marriage the woman says, we are going to get married, but me, I take care of myself and everything. I'm independent. Can she say that? Yes, she can say that with conditions. That in the marriage, I'm independent, but then with conditions. If the woman is saying, I'm going to be independent, I want to be on my own, I want to leave the marriage anytime I want, it should be with conditions. The conditions are that if the woman can say, the day you touch me, you beat me, I'm going home, it is accepted. That kind of clause is accepted. That a woman says, the day you lift your hands up and then touch me in the marriage, I'm going home. It's an accepted clause. Especially if that is the attitude of the man. He's known for beating women. The woman can say, fine, I've been told you are someone who beats women, so no problem, I'll marry you. But then, the day you touch me, pet me, I'm going home. It is an accepted thing. It's accepted within the Islamic legal framework. Or the woman says, me, the day you marry me and then you travel and leave me for 4 months or 5 months, me, I can't stay in that marriage. And then it is also a known, trait of that man that is the way he is. He will travel anyhow he wants without having recourse to return to the woman. Then she can be on her own and then she will leave. But then, if these conditions or these reasons that the woman gives are not within the Islamic legal framework, or are not the activities of the man. For example, if the woman says, me, if you touch me, I'll leave. If you beat me, I'll leave. Now we look at the man. Is he someone who has the history of beating women? If he is, then we agree. If no, we tell him, no, this man already, he doesn't beat women. Okay, what if in the event that he beats the woman? Or what if in the event that these conditions that we are saying, some of them are not acceptable within the Islamic legal framework, what if they happen? What if they happen? So the Malikis are saying that, for example, if a woman says that, if you marry me, you're going to take care of my brothers and sisters. Already we've said this is not an accepted clause within the marriage system, because it might bring some form of discomfort to the man, because he might not have the capabilities to take care of the wife and her parents too. So what happens? One is that if the man had already had sexual intercourse with the woman before this condition was brought in, the marriage continues, but then that condition is taken out. So if I marry a woman, and then after the first night with her, we had sexual intercourse, we enjoyed ourselves, and then she tells me, okay, fine, now that we have married, and then you started enjoying, me have a condition. Okay, what's the condition? I'm listening. I have 3 brothers, and you must take care of them. No. That condition is null and void, and the marriage is valid. Okay, what happens if there has not been any sexual, intimacy between the man and the woman, but then the woman brings in this condition? You're saying the marriage is not void. The marriage is null. It's not valid. Because that condition is going to erode the powers of the marriage. So if any condition that will erode the powers, the spirit of the marriage is being brought in within the clauses of the marriage, then that marriage is null and void. So for example, if someone says when we get married and then you die, the law that is going to distribute your wealth is not Islamic law, that marriage is null and void. That is why I'm calling for the scraping of that point within the bill. That point that say when you die intestate, should Islamic law be used to devolve whatever properties you've left behind? It is against the spirit of Islam. That point there is against the spirit of Islam, so it should be taken out at all. The Shafi'i school of thought also agree with all these things. The same as the Hanbali school of thought, they all agree with this assertion of, inserting a clause within the marriage, but then the clause must be something that is within the spirit of marriage and then within the general spirit of Islamic law. Bear with me, guys. I'll have to leave now because it's almost time for Jum'ah here. That is why I'm having this lesson earlier. But finally, I want to talk about the requirements of the celebration of the Muslim marriages. So the marriage contract that we've talked about. And then there is another point in there that I think we must have a look at it very, very well. That is when an imam, a licensed imam, let's look at section 11:1. A licensed imam shall not celebrate a Muslim marriage unless the marriage has a written Muslim marriage contract. Agreed. It's within the Islamic legal framework, no problem. A licensed imam who celebrates a Muslim marriage that does not have a written Muslim marriage contract commits an offense. So if the imam comes in to officiate a marriage whereby the marriage does not have a written marriage contract, the imam commits an offense. So it's very important, and it's liable on summary conviction to a fine of not more than 250 penalty units. One penalty unit is 12 Ghana cedis. So if an imam, defaults on this, he is going to be fined 250 penalty units. So 250 times 12. 250 times 12. 5 to 10. Carry 1. 2, 2, 4 plus 1, 5. 1, 5. 2. So 2. Okay. So 0, 1, 3. So that is 3,100 Ghana cedis. So if any imam who is licensed and then he's going to officiate a marriage and then there is no written contract, if that imam is caught, he's going to pay 3,100 Ghana cedis, 31 million. It's not something easy. It's not something just for us to play with. That's why I'm saying let's have a deeper look at this. Me, I'm going to officiate a marriage. Even my lorry fare is 50 Ghana cedi. And then there are fees there are section of fees in there where the imam is entitled to 20 Ghana or 50 Ghana cedis. And then I default and then I'm going to pay 3,100 Ghana cedis. Let's have a look at it. It's very, very important. A licensed imam who is convicted of the offense of celebrating a Muslim marriage without a written Muslim marriage contract shall have the license issued to that imam revoked by the registrar. The license is going to be revoked. So let's have better particulars on this. Inshallah, tomorrow, God willing, we are going to look at divorce, the divorce session of this. This is all about the marriage. So inshallah, tomorrow we are going to look at the divorce aspect of this bill. We first look at the multiple marriages of if a Muslim man wants to bring in another wife. We'll look at it briefly, and then we'll look at divorce in Islam. Not only in the bill, inshallah, tomorrow we're going to look at divorce in Islam, because a lot of us are in marriages that are dead already. Some women are staying in abusive marriages, and these marriages are dead marriages already. They are not marriages that are supposed to even exist. And women are in there. They are being molested, they are being abused. And we are telling them, some women are dead psychologically in their marriages. Some women are dead emotionally in their marriages. Some women are, their bodies are dead. We are just waiting for the day that we are just going to bury them in Awudome. But then they are just moving. Because some men have turned themselves into Draculas and killers and narcissists, destroying people's children, all in the name of me, I'm a man. I'm the man of the house. I can do whatever I want to do. Tomorrow, we'll see. Inshallah. Because I tell you, without mincing words, some of the marriages that we have in Zongo are not marriages. Some of the marriages that we have in our Zongo communities, wallahi, they are not marriages. They are just boyfriend and girlfriend staying together. That's it. Because of the irresponsibility of some men. Some men's irresponsible nature has made. Because sometimes you make a statement in Islam, it is a statement of divorce, but you don't know. So you think that, oh, you are still with Muhammad. No, you are not still with her. So inshallah, stay with us tomorrow around this time, 4 p.m. We'll talk about divorce in Islam generally. I have to rush for Jum'ah, so please bear with me. Thank you very much for listening to us. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.